Waiver Wire Week 12. Here are the guys that I'm eyeing and who you should be looking out for your fantasy football lineups. Let's start with the quarterback position. Jameis Winston is still only rostered in about 12% of leagues. He had 395 passing yards last week, 2 passing touchdowns. I think the problem with Jameis is he's the kind of guy that can go off, give you 30 plus fantasy points, but then the next week throw like 3 interceptions. I still think it's worth having, especially as just that security. Injuries are going to happen as we get closer to playoffs. Jameis Winston, 12% of leagues, go and add him to your rosters. Running back position, I like Gus Edwards. It's hard to remember Gus Edwards when you've got J.K. Dobbins on the Chargers. But don't forget Gus Edwards. He's a powerful back who's coming back from that ankle injury. He's only played in 2 games since that ankle injury. But Jim Harbaugh loves running the ball. And I know J.K. is going to be that primary back. But Gus is going to continue to see more and more carries. He had 6 attempts last week. And I love a revenge spot. It's actually a revenge spot for both Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins this week playing the Ravens. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to rely on that run game. When we look at the receiver position, I feel like one of the, fantasy betting black books, don't go with a Packers wide receiver because there's so many of them. Christian Watson, still rostered in only about 40% of leagues. He had 150 yards last week. Watson is getting healthier and healthier. And if Green Bay is really going to make a push towards the playoffs to be one of the better teams in the NFC, I think that Jordan Love's going to have to find that primary target. And Christian Watson was that last week. He can be that number 1 guy for Jordan Love. So go and get Watson, throw him in the lineups, even though the Packers have a lot of wide receiver weapons. For tight end, we've given this one out before. We're running it back. It's Hunter Henry, rostered in about 45% of leagues. I liked this before Drake May, and now with Drake May, I like it even more. His target share continues to rise. He had 6 receptions for 61 yards last week. And the reason people aren't talking about Hunter Henry too much in terms of fantasy, he's not finding the end zone, so we're not seeing the points. But I think eventually that's going to change. The Patriots offense, dare I say, has a little bit of spark now with Drake May. So I'd be eyeing Hunter Henry. And in terms of defense, can't believe that the Commanders are still on a lot of people's radar. Commanders defense, go and roster them now. Pretty good schedule the next couple weeks. They got Dallas, they've got Tennessee, and the Commanders defense has been pretty good even without Lattimore. But Marshawn Lattimore, he's going to be back and healthy and making his debut for the Commanders. Really going to help that pass defense. So I'd go and take Washington if available. That's where I'm looking for Week 12 fantasy waiver wire pickups.